Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining our Tech Trek session today. As you know, it's presented by Customer Success and sponsored by the SIF Space community. Today's hot topic is digging into new requirements for Google and Yahoo. We want to hear from you, so feel free to pop us a question. You can see the question option in the bottom right. And if you like what you hear, share an emoji with us as well. So one of the things I wanted to mention is my name is Susan Verona. I'm the manager of the Knowledge Program and the SIF Space community here. I work closely with our CSEs, and Faisal is our guest speaker today. He's our technical expert. I'll let you, Faisal, tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and share the agenda, and we'll get started. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on which part of the world you are. I am Faisal. I am the technical lead for the customer success team, and I also work on strategic projects here at Red Sift. Part of those strategic projects have been on meetings with the decision makers at Google and Yahoo that are the ones that have conceived these new regulations. So please, like Susan said, feel free to ask any questions. I'll answer them to the best of my ability based on what I know firsthand experience. And yeah, let's get to it. So just a quick recap of what we're going to be working on today. Quick recap of what the requirements that Google, Yahoo are introducing. How do you check to see if you're ready? What do you need to do, and what does your ESP do? And where to find any additional resources, and then the Q&A. The first couple of slides should go fairly quickly because the bulk of this tech track will be answering your questions. I don't want to rehash what's already been said in countless other webinars by my colleagues or other industry experts. This is more of a roundtable for you to ask questions that may have not been answered at other webinars. So, quick recap. The most important one of the steps is authenticate your email. That is the biggest. Google and Yahoo are now going to be requiring SPF and DKIM not only to be authenticated, but to be aligned, meaning they have to be signed in the case of DKIM with a domain key in your domain, or the SPF be aligned in the return path and the from. So that is the biggest change, is they're going to require SPF authentication and alignment. They're going to require the use of TLS for email delivery, although Google's transparency reports show that about 91% of email traffic these days already uses TLS. They're going to require sending servers to have to identify themselves with forward confirmed reverse DNS. Again, this is not a new requirement, and most email gateways and providers and servers already comply with this requirement. One that's newer-ish is marketing email must have a one-click unsubscribe as per RFC 8058. Now, this is a common confusion because this does not mean the unsubscribe body in the body of the email or in the footer. This is a special header that gets added by your ESP called the list-unsubscribe header that then Google, Yahoo, Apple Mail, Fastmail, all those clients use to surface a special unsubscribe button, usually at the top of the message. So this is different than the unsubscribe in the body, and it has to be a specific format, and it's all in the RFC, but it has to be included in the DKIM signature. It has to be comply with certain regulations that your ESP will be familiar with. And most ESPs are going to implement this already for you if they haven't communicated with you already. And lastly, keep your spam rates low. Send only opt-in email and keep unsolicited cold email from sales teams to a minimum. The Google official requirements say 0.03%, although from the talks we've been having with them, they say that if you're at 0.03%, it's too late. You're already too high. Ideally, you want to keep it below 0.01. That way, it gives you buffer for spikes in that. If you're at the 0.03%, take action now because they say that is already too high. So how do you know if you're ready? So Google and Yahoo are not going to start requiring DMARC enforcement yet. Right now, they only request the existence of a policy. Can be anything, can be P equals none, quarantine, reject. They just require the existence of a policy. Word on the street is they want to create a baseline that they can then crank up. So don't be surprised if mid next year they start saying, okay, everybody needs to be on at least quarantine 100. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's very, very likely that's going to happen. And the other one is we've developed a new Google and Yahoo compliance profile in Investigate. So if you head over to the Tools and Investigate section of OnDMARC, send a test email to the address that displays there, and open the email. Right at the top, there's going to be a drop-down with the compliance profiles. And if you select Google and Yahoo, it's going to show you what your current compliance is. Now, word of advice. If you send an email from your corporate email, it'll likely tell you you're failing because you don't have a list unsubscribe header. That's okay. Corporate person-to-person emails do not need to have a list unsubscribe headers. So don't be worried if you send a test from your corporate email and it fails. Another common question that I'm going to address in a bit is, how does Google know if my mail is transactional or marketing? I'll touch that in a bit, but it's a common question. So what do you do versus what does your ESP do? Now, like I talked at the beginning, the big change here is authenticating your email. And that comes in two parts, SPF and DKIM. Setting up a custom return path for SPF alignment is done by your ESP, if supported. There are some ESPs like Constant Contact or MailChimp that do not support custom return paths. However, almost every single ESP I've talked to supports DKIM. So in the portal, whether it's self-service or asking them for the keys, they'll generate the keys and then you add them to your DNS. So even if your ESP doesn't support a custom return path, they will support DKIM. And keep in mind, you only need one of the two to pass DMARC. Therefore, a custom return path is not required. However, if your ESP offers it, you should take it up. You should take them on it. Implementing the list unsubscribe header for one-click unsubscribe. Again, that's done by the ESP. You might need to enable it with a checkbox or something, but the technical implementation and the behind the scenes should be done by your ESP. Setting up the FCR DNS and delivering over TLS. Again, that's also your ESP's job. They own the email for infrastructure. They own the IPs. They own the mail flow. So they're the ones doing that for you. And then staying under the reported spam threshold as determined by Postmaster Tools or Yahoo's new sender dashboard is going to be up to you. The ESPs give you the tools to send the mailings, but it's ultimately up to you on what content you send and if your audience is opted in, if they want to receive your emails. This is a bit of a wordy slide, but we'll share the slides in the community afterwards. But these are all the resources you have as a Red Sift customer to make sure you're ready. We have a Sift Space community with knowledge base of hundreds of vendors of how to set up SPF and DKIM for each of those vendors. And if you don't see what you're looking for, you can ask a question in the forums, and maybe one of our other customers have seen it. We've also published a great deal of content in our blogs, and we've created a dedicated microsite on our website as well. You'll have the links there in the slides, or you can go to blog.redsift.com to check the latest resources. So earlier, I was saying that one of the questions I've seen around lately being asked is, how does Google know if my traffic is transactional or if my traffic is marketing? The simple answer is they don't, and they don't care. They care that your email is opt-in and that the content isn't spammy. They're not going to go into your B2B, your corporate email and say, oh, this was an email from John to Frank and it didn't have a list on subscribe header and we're going to junk it. No, they don't care. They scan many emails a day. What they care is they want to make it easy for the recipients to take control of their inbox and spam. If you're emailing them too much and they want to take a break, they shouldn't be having to go hunt for an unsubscribe link. Hence, the list to unsubscribe provides a one-click unsubscribe in the headers. So it is the wrong question to ask, how does Google know? It's more like, are my traffic stream segregated enough? Is my transactional email separated from my marketing email? Because transactional email does not need to have unsubscribe ethers. However, you're going to be asking, what is transactional email? Transactional email is that necessary to operate a platform, whether it's your welcome account email, password resets, email confirmation, anything that it does not have a marketing in nature and it's not intended to promote or sell anything, but rather it's based on the need of the transaction, whether it's a purchase order, an invoice, a receipt, a forgot password. All those are not marketing emails, but rather as a result of a transaction the end user did with you. Your marketing email is everything else. Product updates, newsletters, marketing letters, promos, webinar invites, everything else that is not strictly transactional will need to have a one-click unsubscribe. I hope that clears up. If you have any questions about transactional email, marketing email, feel free to drop them in the chat. And with that quick recap and tips out of the way, I'm gonna open up to the floor, see if we have any questions. I see one that says Microsoft don't support FCR DNS. Do you think they will change? Actually, they do support. They support it on the sending IPs, just not on the ELO hostname. Microsoft is a bit special in the way that their ELO hostname and sending IP is not the same. However, if you send a test and investigate, you'll see that the sender IP is supporting FCR DNS, just that their ELO, the domain they advertise themselves as when initiating the SMTP transaction, is not FCR DNS. But as long as the sender IP is, which I have yet to see it fail yet, you should be good. We send circulars to our customers. Will Google consider us marketing mail and require the unsubscribe compliance? Again, going back to what I was alluding, if it's a transactional, legally required email that has no marketing, it's not selling you anything, they will likely not. However, if it's a newsletter, even if it's if your customers opt in to receive that circular, it will be considered marketing email. Transactional mail does not need to be opt-in because it's a result of a transaction. Again, think password resets emails or receipts. If the circular is something the customer opts into, they have to be able to opt out of. Do we need both SPF and DKIM? No, but one of them must be aligned and passing. So either SPF has to have a custom return path and be aligned and passing, or DKIM must be signed with the same domain you're sending from and passing. Ideally, you want both, but like one of the examples I gave for MailChimp that doesn't align with the return path, they do offer DKIM, and that's good enough. If we have multiple senders sending from our domain, each of them don't send over 5,000, but collectively they do. Will they all have to comply? Yes. Google will be looking at your overall traffic across the domain, not across individual senders. They'll be aggregating across your entire domain. How can we view if we're in the 0.3 compliance in OnDMARC? Sadly, you can't. That data only exists in Google Postmaster tools or the Google Sender dashboard, or the Yahoo Sender dashboard. So you will have to go to those tools directly. I know Google is working on an API for Google Postmaster tools, so we may be able to in the future integrate, but that's not something in the current roadmap. If it's not unsubscribe in the body, how do we create one-click unsubscribe in the header? That will depend on your ESP. Your ESP or your email service provider, whether it's Marketo, MailChimp, Constant Contact, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, they are the ones that need to implement it for you. If you're using an in-house on-prem server, then you will have to refer to the RFC and your developers will have to code it. But that's probably going to be the 0.01% of you. For the rest, ask your ESP. I know most ESPs are working to integrate that into their platform. Oh, and I nearly forget, the list unsubscribe header deadline is not until June. So Google and Yahoo have realized that some ESPs don't have it ready yet, so they pushed the list unsubscribe header requirement until June 1st. So don't worry if you don't have the list unsubscribe header set up by next week. You'll have until June to ask your ESP and deploy it. Do you need to send a test email? Give me 1 second. Do you need to send a test email in already to be able to see the G Suite Yahoo compliance? Yes, you do, because there are certain checks like the DKIM key and the FCR DNS that we can only do when we receive the email, because we need to have the connection from the incoming server. So yes, Investigate is the best way because we can get all the detail we need from the email. Would it be considered a good practice to use subdomains to segregate different types of traffic? Yes, it is best practice to separate marketing and transactional and corporate email into subdomains. For example, you have widget.com for your corporate domain, your corporate B2B emails, and then you may have marketing.widget.com for your marketing emails, and then updates.widget.com or email.widget.com or whatever you want for your transactional email. It is a very good idea to separate your email streams into subdomains. Quite a lot of phishing we see is coming from Gmail. What are we doing? What are Google doing to stop these emails? I don't know. They did recently announced a new spam filtering model based on LLMs and new models. So hopefully as they roll that out, we can stop that and they can shut down malicious accounts quicker. You're not the only one. It's an industry-wide consensus that Google and Microsoft need to lock down their free accounts a bit more. We use Google for all corporate email. I'm assuming Google themselves already have the list unsubscribe built into their email services. No, because your corporate email does not need to require list unsubscribe header built in. B2B, if you email from John Doe at widgets.com to Jane Doe at contoso.com, those emails do not need a list unsubscribe header. So Google Workspace, Office 365, all those do not will not be implementing list unsubscribe headers because they're not considered marketing emails. Now, there is an exception. If your sales team are doing cold email blast, when it's the same email to everyone, you should be using a tool like Outreach that will let customers unsubscribe from cold B2B spam. Do we have any more questions? I see somebody's typing, so we'll give them a second. I am assuming then people shouldn't be doing mail merges from Office 365. Exactly. You should be using a tool like Outreach or one of those sales tools that will automatically embed list unsubscribe headers and unsubscribes in the body so that your sales team can do cold email more effectively, because cold email outreach from salespeople is considered marketing and is not considered B2B email. Corporate email. I've actually been seeing this week a lot of companies saying, hey, my Gmail account got blocked by Google. And they were like, what were you doing? Well, I sent 200 emails advertising my new X. Well, there you have it. You should not be using your Gmail account or your corporate Google account to send mass mail merges. Your corporate email is for one-to-one communication, not one-to-many. How do we use Google Postmaster Days? It says it's only in beta. I think it's been in beta for as long as I remember. I just don't think they've ever taken off the beta label off of it. You should be able to go log in at postmaster.google.com and verify your domain. Now, keep in mind, Google requires a certain traffic to Gmail addresses before it starts displaying data. Google Postmaster Tools does not display data of emails sent to Google Workspace corporate accounts. It only shows data sent to consumer Gmail accounts. And you need to have a certain threshold before they start displaying displaying data. I'm posting the link in the chat. You can go to postmaster.google.com. You'll be able to sign up. They'll ask you to add a DNS string to your a TXT to your domain's DNS to verify ownership. And yeah. Any other questions? See somebody's typing. A couple people are typing. Are the slides available offline? Yes, the slides will be available in SIF Space shortly after the Tech Trek is over. What's the equivalent link for Yahoo? Let me find it because I know that one is in beta. Yahoo didn't have one until like 2 weeks ago. So that one is definitely a new one. Give me 1 second. I gotta find that one. Okay, so if you go to this link I'm just posting in the chat, it's going to be the first card in the carousel. It's going to say coming soon, the Sender Hub dashboard, and there's going to be a button to request beta access. Ah, looks like Ivan beat me to it. Ivan's link is much more detailed than mine. So any other questions you have about the requirements, about Google, Yahoo, about DKIM, about alignment? Pretty much anything goes within reason. Somebody's typing, let's see. All right, let's give it a bit more for him to finish typing. Well, you're welcome. Are there any other questions? Oh, DJ. A couple other people are typing.
Oh, great. Looks like our information was helpful. Oh my goodness. I'll take it from here. So as you know, Ivan just answered the question. We're going to put the slides. They're going to be in the OnDMARC forum group. We're always trying to promote you guys using the community more and giving me feedback or providing product feedback. We're trying to improve our onboarding resources. You can search our knowledge base. Like we said, we have hundreds of articles around SPF and DKIM set up for many of the vendors. So I hope to see you in the community soon. And if you need anything and you can't find it in the community, you can go to the Q&A and ask there or ask in the product forum, and we'll be glad to assist you. We have product managers and people like Faisal and Ivan that are our tech leads and other CSEs and CSMs from our team in the community constantly, watching for any questions that you might have or looking for feedback or ideas from you as well. So thank you everyone for joining our session today. It'll just take a few minutes this afternoon to get the recording posted and the slides posted. So bear with me, but I hope to have that done within a couple of hours. And if there's not anything else, I'd like to thank Faisal and all of you for joining. And looks like there might be one more question there. Do we need to talk about that one?
I was typing an answer just to not interrupt you, but yes, Cliff, they're likely Google Workspace addresses. Google says they will be impacted. However, being Google Workspace addresses, the IT admins for those companies may implement further restrictions or relax the restrictions. So your mileage may vary with Google Workspace addresses. The main points are to Gmail addresses because Google can control those, and those are consumers that are different. They're different personas than Google Workspace addresses. But yes, it'll also apply to Google Workspace addresses with the caveat that your mileage may vary because IT admins may have set different policies that may be more restrictive or more relaxed.
Okay, I think that's it, and we're about at time. Thank you again, Faisal, for all of your expertise and sharing your insights from your project work with Google and Yahoo. And thank you again for everyone's time today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. We'll continue these Tech Trek events probably once a month, more often if needed. So let us know if you have a topic that you're interested in, and we'll be sure to cover it. Thanks again, and I'll end the event now. Bye-bye.